I still remember the exact moment my phone rang. It was late, almost 11 at night. My wife, Emily, was already asleep beside me. The room was dark except for the soft glow of the TV screen that I'd forgotten to turn off. I picked up the phone without checking the caller ID. "Hello," a shaky voice answered. "Hi, this is Mark, your wedding photographer. I hope I'm not calling too late." At first, I thought he was calling about payment or edits, or maybe Emily had requested a special photo arrangement. He sounded too nervous for something simple, though. "No worries," I said. "Is everything okay?" Silence. A long, uncomfortable silence. Then he whispered, "I was reviewing your wedding photos, and I noticed something disturbing." My heart skipped. "What do you mean?" I asked. He cleared his throat, as if choosing his words carefully. "I think you should come see them in person. Tonight, if possible." "Tonight? What? Why?" "Just send them to me." He exhaled deeply. "It's better if you see them here. Please." Something in his voice, fear or maybe guilt, made my stomach twist. I got out of bed quietly, trying not to wake Emily, but she stirred anyway. "Who was that?" she whispered. "The photographer," I said. "He wants me to check the wedding photos." She frowned. "At this hour? Why?" I shook my head. No idea, but I did have an idea. A terrible one. Something about the way he said disturbing. It felt personal. She pulled the blanket closer around herself. "Can it wait till morning?" Maybe it could, but deep inside, I already knew something was wrong, and I needed answers. Finally, I said, "I'll be back soon." As I reached the door, I glanced back at my wife. She looked worried, not confused, not annoyed, worried. That expression stuck in my mind. I didn't understand it at the time, but later it would make perfect sense. The streets were almost empty as I drove across town. Rain tapped against the windshield, the kind of soft rainfall that makes every streetlight glow like a halo. With every passing minute, my nerves tightened. What could be so disturbing that the photographer had to call me at night? I replayed the wedding in my mind, every smile, every vow, every dance. Everything looked perfect, too perfect. When I arrived, the photography studio lights were still on. Inside, Mark paced back and forth, his hands trembling slightly. "Thanks for coming," he said, locking the door behind me. That was the first sign something wasn't normal. He led me to his workspace and opened a laptop. A single folder was highlighted. "Wedding Daniel and Emily. You went through all the photos?" I asked. He nodded. Twice. I almost convinced myself I was imagining things. "Imagining what?" He swallowed. "I'll show you." He clicked on the first picture, Emily walking down the aisle. She looked breathtaking. Her smile was soft, her eyes glowing with joy. But Mark zoomed into the background, and that's when I saw it. A man, standing behind a pillar, watching her, but not in the usual guest kind of way. His stare was intense, fixed on Emily. "Who's that?" I asked. Mark shook his head. I assumed he was a guest, but he appears in more photos. He clicked through the slideshow. Every few pictures, the same man, sometimes closer, sometimes hiding behind someone, sometimes staring directly at Emily with a look that made my skin crawl. "I thought maybe he was watching you," Mark said, "but his eyes never leave your wife." My chest tightened. Maybe he's just a friend of hers. Then why is he never interacting with anyone? Mark whispered. We went through dozens of photos. The man was everywhere, always in the background, always watching. In one photo, right after Emily said, "I do," his expression twisted into something dark, something angry, jealous. My fingers tingled with adrenaline. Why didn't I notice him that day? Mark shook his head. "That's not all." He opened another photo. This time, it was from earlier before the ceremony. Emily standing by the dressing room mirror, but the mirror's reflection was wrong. In the reflection, the same man stood behind her, but he wasn't in the actual room. Cold chills ran through my spine. What the hell is going on? I whispered. Mark leaned closer, his voice trembling. I think Emily knows him. I think Emily knows him. The sentence echoed in my head like a siren. That's impossible, I said quickly. I would know. Mark didn't argue. He clicked another photo. The man again. This time his expression was unmistakable. Possessive. Something about it made me uneasy. What if he's just a stranger who slipped into the wedding? I asked. Mark shook his head. Look at this. He pulled up a sequence of photos taken during the reception. Emily dancing with me. Emily laughing. Emily hugging guests. And always, the same man in the background, watching her every move. At one point, she walked past him, and she looked away too fast. Almost like she recognized him, and didn't want to. I clenched my fists. Why didn't you say anything? Mark hesitated. Daniel, there's more. He opened one last picture. My stomach dropped. It was from the bouquet toss. Emily stood turned away from the crowd, but she wasn't looking at the guests behind her. She was looking sideways, at him, and he was looking back, not smiling, not cheering, just staring, like he was waiting for her to give him some kind of signal. I stepped back from the screen. No way. Mark spoke gently. I don't know who he is, but he wasn't there by accident. My breathing became uneven. I felt betrayed, confused, angry, all at once. Mark placed a hand on the laptop. There's something else I need to tell you. I braced myself. What is it? He hesitated again. This isn't the first time I've seen him. What? I saw him in Emily's bridal photo shoot, Mark said. He was across the street, watching her. My heart pounded harder. And I saw him the night before the wedding, he added, in the parking lot, staring at the church door. A sharp pain struck my chest, fear mixed with anger. What the hell is this? Mark leaned closer. I think he's from her past. When I got home, my mind was racing. Emily was asleep or pretending to be. I sat at the edge of the bed, staring at her face, her perfect, peaceful expression, and all I could think was, who is he? And why didn't she tell me? In the morning, I confronted her. Emily, I said, we need to talk. She blinked slowly, stretching. About what? About the man at our wedding. Her body froze, just for a second, before she forced a confused smile. What man? I studied her expression. She was scared, not surprised. Scared. You know who I'm talking about, I said. Her eyes darted away. Daniel, please, let's not do this. Then tell me the truth. I demanded. She lowered her head into her hands. I didn't want this to ruin our marriage. My heart sank. So you do know him? She hesitated, then nodded slowly. He's my ex. My stomach dropped. We broke up years ago, she continued, her voice trembling. But he never accepted it. He kept showing up, kept calling. I thought he stopped. My hands trembled. You should have told me. This is serious. I know, she whispered, tears filling her eyes. I was afraid you'd think I brought him into our lives. I didn't. I swear. I stepped back, hurt. It's not about blame, I said. It's about trust. She wiped her tears. Daniel, I love you. I married you. But he was dangerous. I didn't want you involved. Dangerous. The word echoed in my mind. Before I could process it, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. She lunged for it, but I grabbed it first. A message flashed on the screen. I saw the photos too. You should have chosen me. My heart turned to ice. Emily covered her mouth with shaking hands. He never stops, she whispered. He always finds me. I looked at her, really looked, and I saw fear I'd never noticed before. But I also saw something else. A truth she'd been hiding. Why didn't you tell me he was stalking you? I asked. Her voice cracked. Because every time I talk about him, things get worse. I wasn't going to let this man terrorize my wife or destroy our marriage. But going to the police wouldn't help immediately. They needed proof of threat. So I came up with a plan. A dangerous one, but necessary. We decided to stage a public argument, loud enough to draw attention, but fake. Somewhere he could see us. Somewhere he would think Emily was vulnerable. Emily hated the idea. What if he does something? That's exactly what we need, I said, for the police to step in. We chose a park near our home. It had plenty of people around, enough witnesses, enough cameras. As we walked, Emily kept looking over her shoulder. Do you think he'll come? He's been watching you for years, I said softly. He'll come. We reached the bench. I took a deep breath. Ready? She nodded reluctantly. We began arguing. Loud, dramatic, just convincing enough. You never tell me the truth. I yelled. I was scared, she cried. People turned to watch. Then Emily glanced over my shoulder. Her eyes widened. He's here. I turned. There he was. The same man from the photos. Standing by a tree. Watching. Smiling. Emily gripped my arm. He's coming. And then he did something that made my blood boil. He walked straight toward us with confidence, like he owned the world. When he reached Emily, he smiled. A calm, chilling smile. You don't have to pretend anymore, he said. You were happier with me. My fists clenched, but I held back. We needed him to escalate. Emily stepped behind me. Leave us alone. He chuckled. You don't mean that. Then he reached for her wrist. And that was it, the moment we needed. I raised my voice. Step away from her. He shoved me. Hard. People gasped. Someone started recording. That was enough. Cops arrived within minutes. We showed them the messages, the footage, the photos. He was taken away, still shouting Emily's name. We thought it was over. We thought the nightmare ended with the arrest. But it didn't. A week later, the detective called us in. We went through his phone. He said, and you need to hear this. He played an audio recording. The man's voice filled the room. Angry, obsessive, delusional. She's mine. She always was. She only married him to make me jealous. I know she still loves me. She used to say I was the only one who understood her. I'll get her back, no matter what. Emily covered her face with her hands. That's not true, she whispered. I never said any of that. The detective nodded. We suspected that. This isn't love. This is obsession. As we left the station, Emily grabbed my hand tightly. I'm sorry, she whispered, for everything. I held her close. No more secrets. Ever. For the first time in weeks, I felt like maybe we finally had control again. Healing took time. Trust took time. But we worked through it, slowly, honestly. Emily started therapy. I joined her sometimes. We talk about the past, about fear, about how silence can sometimes be more dangerous than the truth. We strengthened our marriage. We learned to communicate better. And for the first time, I felt like we were truly partners. Mark, the photographer, apologized for the shock, but I thanked him. Honestly, I told him, you saved our lives. Because without those photos, we never would have known the truth. Sometimes, the people who smile at you are hiding shadows behind their eyes. Sometimes, the danger isn't loud. It's silent, patient, watching. And sometimes, the person you think you know best is carrying a fear too heavy to share. But here is what I learned. Love survives when truth is louder than secrets. And healing begins when fear finally ends. Emily and I rebuilt our lives. Together, stronger. All because one photographer noticed something disturbing and cared enough to tell me.